Today, we are going to be going through my modern decks. All of the modern decks that I own. Which is 8, by the way. So, there's that. Let's go a little in depth here. Let's show what I have. Okay, so this is my affinity deck. So you can see, I have the only one of the full art Memnite promos. Specifics of the deck. It's pretty much your standard affinity deck. However, there's obviously some changes. Like for instance, I know a lot of the modern, most played version of Affinity plays Galvanic Blast. I play 3, but I also play 1 Thoughtcast, because it's nice to draw cards. And I also play 1 Glintnest Crane, because it kind of tutors for an artifact card, which is always very helpful, obviously, because there's no drawing and searching your library in Affinity, so you need all the help you can get sometimes, because if you don't have that explosive hand with Affinity, there's a big chance you could lose. A huge chance, actually. You need that good hand. That helps create a better hand later. And this is my burn. It is not mono red, even though I do have the red ones here displayed, but it's actually Naya burn. I do have a Stomping Ground, Sacred Foundries. It's pretty much your standard Naya burn deck list that you could find online. I don't have anything specifically different in here. Yeah, there's bolts, rift bolts. I do have Inspiring Vantage in there because I like a quick start. So, Lightning Helix, obviously, Monastery. So it's pretty much your standard burn decks. There's not really much to say there. So, moving on. But it is the deck that I play the most. If I go out and play some Modern at the store, because you know, it's one of those things you don't have to think too much about when you play. I mean, I do play Affinity a lot as well, and I play something else that I'll show you later. But yeah, it's just one of those decks that you just want to. If you just take it out, the deck does the work for you, which is, I mean, not great, but it works. And this is my 8 whack goblins. So, it's a little different than the main 8 whack. I guess you can call it a little bit of a budget 8 whack. I don't have any Cavernous Souls. I had a few Cavernous Souls before, but I ended up trading them in to get cards for other decks that I was building. But for the most part, it is 8 whack. It's got all the cards apart from that. The Goblin Guides, I don't have any Goblin Guides in this deck right here, but when I do play, I'll switch out some Mog Fanatics for the Goblin Guides in this deck. So it's like a full 8 whack. But for the most part, it's a little bit budget. But yeah, it's a good deck. And Legion Loyalists, man. Thank God I bought those when they're like $2 each. Now they're like almost $10 a piece. Pretty pricey for a Goblin. And this is my Traverse Shadow. My Termagoyfs are actually at my brother's house. The 4 of them should be, like, I do have 4 of them, and that's the card that's missing out of here right now, but as you can see, the Mishra's Bauble, the Death Shadow, Thought Seizes, Abrupt Decays, and I do have, where's the Traverse? The Uvenwald, somewhere in here. Will it show? Doing this with one hand, so it's very hard to, come on, you son of a bitch. Well, let me just go through here, make sure I'm not missing it. Oh, there you go, yeah. So Traverse Uvenwald. It's very important in this deck. But yeah, pretty good. I was playing Grixis Death Shadow, and then I actually ended up dismantling it because I really wanted to build a Jeskai control deck. And I just felt like Snapcaster Mage is a little better in that deck right now than in Grixis Death Shadow. So, I mean, I still have technically all the pieces for Grixis Death Shadow, so if I ever wanted to go back to that instead of Traverse, I have the pieces, so always nice to know. And this is my Living End deck. This is probably the other deck I play a lot of at my local game store. It's just a really fun combo deck. I like this combo deck more than Storm. Storm it's probably better than Living End. I mean, its win percentage is probably a little higher, but I just don't like Storm. I'm not a fan of Storm. I just like the flavor of Living End. It's just it's just really cool. Like just digging through your deck, throwing out creatures into the graveyard for 1 mana, and then bringing them back and destroying all their creatures. It's like a Wrath of God. It's like a super combo piece. Just destroy their stuff, bring all the stuff that you've been throwing into the graveyard into the battlefield, and it's just like, yeah, into play. It's just amazing. Yeah, so there's nothing particularly different about this Living End deck. Yeah, for the most part, it's the exact list you'd see. The sideboard, however, I actually added in Emrakul's for the sideboard and Faithless Lootings, so it's just like something else that people will, it'll be unexpected if you play someone, you Faithless Looting, throw a Emrakul into the graveyard, and its main ability where it comes into play and you take over their turn, yeah, you don't have that with the Promised End. However, it's still protection from instants, and it's a 13/13 flyer, so pretty powerful regardless, and I think it's just an added bonus that I put in my sideboard. Okay, and this is Infect. So this is actually a budget Infect in a way, because I don't have the Noble Hierarchs, because when I actually started to build this, that was when the Noble Hierarch shot up like crazy, and I just did not want to spend close to like, what is it, $80 to $100 for Noble Hierarch right now for a rare, not even a mythic. I'm like, yeah, something's got to be done there. They really got to reprint that thing. But yeah, like it's a card I would only pay like $30 for, so unless it gets reprinted and it takes a huge crash, I probably won't be buying it unless I see some really heavy played, slashed, almost damaged Noble Hierarch that someone would be willing to trade me or sell me for really cheap. So if you do have those, hit me up in the comments or message me and let me know and say, hey, I got some Noble Hierarchs for really cheap, and this is why, etc., and maybe I'll hit you back up and we can make a deal. So yeah, the Inkmoth Nexuses that I have for this deck are still in my affinity, and I switch it out whenever I want to play Infect, so there's no sense in owning 8 of them. If it's a card, especially if it's a playset of a card, you can just switch out. So yeah, not too bad. So I got the Ichor Claw right there, which is a common card that shot up in the last like few months or so. Used to be like a 50-cent card. Now it's like, I think it's almost like $2 for Ichor Claw Mirror now. So pretty undervalued common. Now it's getting some recognition there. And this is my Soul Sister. Hey sister, Soul Sister, let me get that butthole, sister. So yeah, this is just your standard Soul Sister deck if you search it up online. I got all the pieces for it. I got the Flagstones of Tarkir, the Sarah Ascendant, that's the most important card with a Martyr of Sands. Those two combo well together. Turn 2, you could be swinging in for like 6/6 lifelink. So very nice, and you can get up to over 30 life by turn 2. Very good against burn. But it's just one of those decks you play, you can really piss someone off when you're using that deck. It's very frustrating to play against. But yeah, I think pretty sure I remembered I built this deck after I heard Tolarian Community College talk about it, and he said it was like one of his favorite decks to play. So I thought, hey, why not build it? So yeah, not too bad. Pretty cheap too to build. This is my Jeskai Control deck. This is the one I've been using a lot more recently. The Snapcaster Mages used to be my Grixis Death Shadow deck, and I moved it over to here because I think it's better utilized. Obviously, you got the Celestial Colonnade. I don't have any. I actually don't have any Jace, the Mind Sculptor. I replaced him with 4 copies of the Fairy. But Terminus is also a really sweet card in this deck. Like, amazing card, especially because you only play 4 Snapcaster Mages. Although sometimes I main deck, which I will show you. You might think this is dumb, but sometimes I main deck 2 Geist of St. Traphs, because especially if I'm playing Burn or something, or just a deck that has a lot of removal, and it's got hexproof, so it's a pretty sweet card. Anyways, those are my modern decks. So comment in the description and let me know what you think of them, and let me know which decks you have in modern if you have any. Okay, this is MTG Robinson out.